Welcome to After the Pool, the video series where I share all my thoughts and opinions on the rest of the comic books that I read for the current comic book week. Guys, I'm Mike Spider Slayer. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you've been watching for a while and you like daily comic book content and you like me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy, why don't you hit that subscribe button? And also, if you want to see my thoughts and opinions on the issue ones for the current comic book week, you can check out Worthy Ones. That takes place on Thursdays. I'll leave the video at the end of this video for you to check out. So not a very large week this week when it comes to the grand scheme of things. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and get started. So the first Marvel book that we're diving into this week is X Factor. This is issue 9. Now, unfortunately, this series is ending. This has been one of my more favorite series from the X line as of late because it's a book that is not afraid to push the envelope. The artwork is fun. Character moments are fun, and it's not afraid to change the roster in the middle of a story. I think that's been what's great about it. And at times it's serious, at times it's funny. But now that I know that it's canceled, I'm almost like, damn, I'm not sure if I really care what's going on anymore. This is the penultimate issue. You wind up getting to see the X Factor in this issue go out on a secret mission, or characters that were supposedly part of X Factor at one point go out on a highly classified mission, while the other X Factor teams go out on another mission. And it was all this big distraction, and this all goes back to the One World Under Doom issue that was 2 issues ago, and it did have good character moments with Granny Smite and the one other X Factor teammate by the name of Cyber. But overall, I mean, this is one of those books now that I know that it's canceled. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. You went on the mission. You kind of got this secret computer, and now there's danger at the end of this. But at the grand scheme of things, what's the point anymore? There is no point. You know it's ending. I'm just gonna finish it. It was all right issue. It wasn't great. It's a C+ for me. Then we move on to Ultimate Wolverine. This is issue 4. Now, it's a creative way of doing a issue where there's a lot of gore and violence, but I would have loved to see more of that gore and violence actually happen in this comic book. And this almost kind of reminded me of like the Ultimates last issue, where it was like this poetic type of storytelling, and this one is all about this bear, and I guess it's a Wolverine, or it's a wolf, doing battle against each other. And then you get to see this narration that's going on in it, where we wind up seeing Wolverine being contained and not contained, taking on all these soldiers. And again, it's all being done through this battle between these two animals here. And by the time you wind up getting to the end of the issue, you wind up seeing the ramifications of what has happened to all these people that were involved, and it became this bloody mess, right? So that was kind of cool. And then if you want to read what actually happened in the issue and the grand scheme of things, then you got to read all this in the back. It's like a huge data dump. But there was a reveal at the end of this book that definitely made it worth reading, and you need to continue because this is the biggest mutant book that we've had to date so far. So because of that ending, right, I'm going to give this one a B+. But when you look at wanting to see Wolverine in the book, yeah, you don't see too much of him. So for this week in the DC realm, we only have one book to talk about, and that's Batman Detective Comics issue 1096. Great looking cover here. We wind up getting to see the revelation of who Asma is, and we get to see the conclusion to this whole storyline when it comes to Bruce and Joe Chill and the whole Fountain of Youth rehabilitation thing, and who his little girlfriend is, and all these different things. Now, the book has a lot of the Bat family in it. There's a lot of battling, a lot of action in it. The artwork looks good. And when you get to the end of the comic book, I don't think this is the end of it. Now, this is the end of it for now, but I think we're going to continue this story going forward in Tom Taylor's run. So overall, I think this was a decent comic, and I'm happy that this story arc ended because I was afraid Tom Taylor was going to drag this out for a long time. And he doesn't. He closes it out for now, and we'll go to a new storyline. But I do like, obviously, the moral code of Bruce Wayne here, how he respects his father and what his father would do in a situation when there's a tough call to be made. You know, he's still got to stand by that code. And it was good. It was an all right book and an all right first arc for Tom Taylor. So at the end of the day, I wound up giving Batman Detective Comics a B. It was a solid read, and I'm curious to see now what the next story arc has to offer. Now we're entering that independent comic realm, and the first one we're talking about is Deadly Tales of the Gunslinger issue 5. Thank goodness that the artist we got on the first 3 issues of this was pretty interesting. Dark, gritty. We got to see the origin story of the Gunslinger, on how he was formed, right? And now it has to do with this circus. And we get to see Gunslinger trying to find his sister, trying to get answers. I guess this is the Wyatt character that he's been looking for. And I cannot stand the artwork in this book. I just feel like it does not fit the story whatsoever. It took me 3 separate tries to get through this book. I started it. I was reading it at nighttime. I started falling asleep. And then I woke up, I tried reading it again, I'm like, no. And then I read it in the morning time when I was fresh and ready to go. And even at that time of the day, where this was the first comic book I read, I just could not get into it. The story is okay at best, but the artwork makes it that much worse. And it was a lot of just talking. It's like, Gunslinger Spawn attached to this wheel. We wind up getting to see, I think the guy's name is Wyatt, like I said, throwing knives at him, and he's trying to find out like where his sister is. Meanwhile, this dude is possessed by some like freaking devil god, and when the fight should be at its best, it's literally 1 page and the fight is done. It's over. And that's the pretty much end of the book, where Gunslinger wakes up and now he's getting ready to go on his next adventure. Such a disappointment for, you know, for only the 5th issue. So now that the artist is going to be coming back in the next issue, let's hope things pick up, because if they don't, this will be on the chopping block for me, and I'll just stick with the main series. So at the end of the day, this one gets a D+. It was just not entertaining for me at all. Next, we go to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This one is issue 8. So when we talk about the Turtles, it's been a much better series. It reminds me of the old days of Mirage, where they're just much more grittier turtles. They're much darker. We get to see some cool fight scenes on a train in this book. And I thought that was great, right? And too bad there wasn't more action in this book. It's just more of like Leonardo and his thought process, his meditation process, and just him trying to help Donatello, because Donatello is really just broken in the comic book, right? And there was a lot of like repeat stuff going on in this book. But by the time you wind up getting to the end of it, Donatello, there's something obviously wrong with him and he goes missing. So how are our turtles going to find Donatello? We'll see. This book wasn't as strong for me as previous issues, as this was really much a focus on mostly Leonardo here, which is okay, right? But I like to see all the other turtles, and I do like to see, you know, a little bit more of them. I want to say getting to the point where they start working together again and going against the common enemy. You do get introduced to a couple new characters in this book. Well, they're old characters, but they're new in this series, and I think you'll appreciate that. This one was good. I gave this one a B-, so let's hope it continues to get better as time goes along. It was just kind of a slower issue for me. Then we move on to Conan the Barbarian. This is issue 20. This book continues the momentum off of the last issue, where we get to see Conan trying to survive. There's somebody actually trying to hunt him here, And we find out that it's an actual shapeshifter. At first you thought it was like a Black Panther that he was doing battle against, and then you find out that this Panther shifts to a guy, then he shifts to a female, and we find out that obviously based off of what happens in previous issues, that Conan is cursed with this blade that he got stabbed with in the previous 2-issue story arc. And so this was kind of like a trial that Conan had to go through in order to survive, right? And then by the time you wind up getting to the end of this issue, you wind up seeing a particular character that was in the last issue, right, that had that like snake weapon blade, and she's trying to sell it to the people that it belongs to, which obviously is going to kick off, I would think, the next story arc. This book is really good. I really like it, and it's even better with, I would say, what you guys told me are the right artists for the book. So I'm curious to see how the story continues. I love the action. I love the fighting. I love how it's barbaric, man. I like it. So definitely a solid book. I gave this one a A. All right, so now we only have one more book to talk about, and that is from Ghost Machine, Image Comics. This is Jeff Johns' Red Coat. This is issue 11. This starts the next series or story arc here, and we get introduced to a new character by the name of the Northerner. And the Northerner is a time traveler. He's like a guy from the Civil War, but, you know, he's Cable. I guess that's what you could say, right? And we wind up seeing this little girl who's being chased, and here comes the Northerner with all his modern guns and stuff like that, and the people from the past are like, what are those things? And he winds up shooting them in the head and stuff. So you don't get to learn too much about the character. You just find out that he's a time traveler. You wind up seeing Simon Pure in this book as he's just relaxing and chilling, not taking sides. He winds up getting this job to deliver this package, and that's when the Northerner makes his appearance, and him and Simon Pure start to square off against each other, and that's where the book winds up. And this was another solid book. I wouldn't say it's the best Red Coat issue I've ever seen or read, because it's starting to set up a new story arc, but it's very intriguing and it makes you want to know who this guy is, right? So this was another solid book. I wouldn't say it's next level, but I also give it an A. So not a huge episode when it comes to After the Poll this week, but hopefully you guys still enjoyed it. And do you agree or disagree with my thoughts down below? I want to know your grades. And as always, guys, I'm going to leave you more content right here for you to click on. And of course, guys, remember, always support those local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, but always remember, read your comics so we can have great comic conversation. Guys, I'll see you real soon. Take care. Bye.